episode. How are we today?
Aloha, Sharon. Aloha, hard surfers.
Aloha.
I'm wearing my Hawaiian garb today because of our podcast and what we're going to talk about.
All right, so hi there, hard surfers. It's time for Healing Me Before We. This podcast is about our emotional drama. We bring to you a unique way of uncovering limiting beliefs about relationships by examining the common uses of cliches or relevant topics. So, this is relationship specialist Dan, the Sway Man, and myself, Sharon, the Heart Lady. We are so excited to share our views. So let's surf into
Oh, I love that. What a transition.
it.
Well, the topic for today is very appropriate because of what's been going on in my life in the last 2 weeks. And that is when two people are in a relationship and they go separate ways, and not
Okay.
necessarily the relationship is ending. I'm talking about separate ways in terms of vacationing or going away to a place that they would enjoy, and maybe the other one's not going. The other
Yeah,
one's sticking around, staying
there you
there.
go. And so what's the topic?
The topic is separate vacations.
Separate vacations. Okay. So tune in, hard surfers. What are your thoughts about separate vacations from your partner that you live with, or your partner that you don't live with, or your partner that you want to live with, or your family? But we're really talking about the intimate relationships. So, tell me your view. Tell me your view,
Well, so
Dan.
I was saying that this is such an appropriate topic for our podcast today because both my wife and I in the last 2 weeks have taken separate vacations from each other.
Mm-hmm.
She recently went on a girls' trip to
Okay,
a
nice.
cottage with several of her girlfriends,
Okay.
and they had a great time. And I didn't go, and I didn't want to go, nor
Well,
was
it was
I
a girls'
invited.
trip.
So that's okay. I wasn't invited. So let me
It
add
was a
that.
girls' trip, Dan.
It was a girls' trip. That's a good point. And I recently just came back from a trip where I traveled on my own down to actually your state in your area in Georgia
Okay.
because I enjoy taking car rides. My
Okay.
wife does not. She does not want a car ride longer than more than an hour or so.
Okay.
And I was in the car for 27 hours over the last 3 days,
Okay.
which is even a bit much for me. At the same time, though, I had the opportunity to do things that she wouldn't like to do. Like, I enjoy just going for drives in the mountains.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you a short story.
Okay.
My family says that I am known for always finding the longest way to get to places. I do not like expressways or highways.
Okay. You like the
I like
scenery route.
I like the scenery. So I often choose when I Google to go without those things. And I take the country roads and the back roads, and I love it.
Hmm.
It's the thing that I really enjoy because I'm in no hurry.
Right.
And Maggie, she wants to get from point A to point B
Okay.
and in the least amount of time.
All right.
And so for me to have the opportunity to just take my time and go where I want to go, stop where I want to stop, if I want to see a waterfall
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
out of the car and
Yeah.
enjoy it and not hear voices saying, "We want to go
Hurry
home and we're done. Let's get out of here." And my wife, of course, was like the loudest, right? And so my point is, it's really helpful to be able to take separate vacations because it gives each person in the relationship an opportunity to do things in a way that the other person doesn't have resentment about it or
Yeah. Or it
anything,
doesn't cause an argument.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I like taking vacations with my husband, but I also like taking vacations with the girls. I think a girls' trip is really important. It helps you to really see who you are with your friends. Um, and then I love doing the adventure with my husband. There's so much things to share, and common we have things in common. So I really do like that. So we can talk about it, laugh about it, get mad about it. But the car trips, I used to do that. I used to do the car trips with the kids. That got old real quick. And I think that having separate vacations are very healthy. I think it is healthy in ways that you can kind of get into yourself, learning and knowing about yourself a lot more than if you're always with your partner. So I think it's good in both ways. I don't see anything particularly wrong with that. And I do know couples who's like, oh no, you can't go anywhere without me and blah blah blah. I think that kind of lends into more of a security or insecurity, lack of trust type of thing. But it's healthy to know yourself. I remember, and this is not a vacation, but it is in line. I remember my one of my sons said, I finally went to the movies by myself. It was like, that's something that I thought I would never do. That's something that I always thought you did with a date or with a group of friends. He said, but it was really good just to be by myself, get up when I wanted to get up, laugh when I wanted to laugh, go eat what I wanted, not sharing. So it can be
Uh-huh.
very refreshing to do things, especially in this in the adult age and this age of so much extra stimulation. Sometimes just having someone else there when you want your peace of mind can be a little overwhelming. So yeah, I think that it's pretty good. Viewers, what do you think? Vacation with or without? Mhm.
Well,
So
I
that
want to go back to something you said,
okay.
and that is how important it is that we take time out for ourselves. Going back
Yeah,
to the topic of our podcast overall, healing me before we,
right.
and to just kind of re-energize myself in
Yeah,
ways that maybe my spouse doesn't find that same kind of method as energizing. Like for me, I spent over this past weekend, I went to the Smoky Mountains and I went to this place where you enter and you drive for 34 miles
oh wow.
through this wonderful canopy of forests and mountains.
Mhm.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. My wife would have probably been bored to tears and said, are we there yet? Where are we going? Are we going to get there?
Yeah,
And so there's nothing wrong with me doing something I enjoy and making sure that I get something out of it. And
yeah.
going back to what I said earlier, not having somebody else there who's not really in. She's
That's
not
right.
really
And if
going
they're
to
not
enjoy it.
into what you're into, it's
Yeah,
important that you maintain your agency, right? It's
that's right.
important that you do things that also make you yourself happy, not just the couple, right?
There you
But
go.
definitely trying new things just for your own self, because as we talk many times on this podcast, you're responsible for your happiness. And so
I
if you're
am
not going on a
solely
vacation,
responsible for my
yeah,
happiness. I'll get radical there, okay? I'm solely, it's interesting the word solely in itself, right?
right, solo.
S-O-L, right? And S-O-U-L. And
Yes.
they're both part of that. It's for me to nourish me and my soul in ways that, and that's why everyone's different and
Yeah.
we're not the same, even if we have similarities, which me and Maggie have,
Hmm.
we also have differences. And so vacations give us that opportunity to explore and to do the things that I like and enjoy, whether she likes them or not.
Yeah.
And so she can stay home in her backyard and enjoy herself doing whatever she likes to do. And I have the opportunity to do what I like to do. And now I'm going to get even more radical because I was talking with you about this earlier when we were discussing this topic,
Uh-huh.
and that is the whole communication thing.
Hmm.
And I don't believe it's necessary to communicate with each other on these kinds of trips unless there's an emergency,
Yeah.
because it's really an opportunity to be away from each other.
Yeah.
And now with this modern technology, you could go away somewhere geographically, and yet you're still attached or stuck to the other person in the relationship because of video chat, FaceTime, all these kinds of things. And so even though you're geographically away, you're not away. You're still connected to them. And
Yeah. Well,
so I said to
I.
Maggie,
Hmm.
when she went on her girls' trip, I said, have a good time, enjoy yourself. We will talk when you come back. And so she sent me messages like, go take out the garbage, right? And I just ignored it. I didn't answer. I'm like, I think she knows I'll take out the garbage. It'll be okay. And so
Yes.
that's how I responded by not responding to those kinds of things. I was telling her, look, just have fun and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. I have a twofold on that too, Dan. Number one, I must say that I'm sure that you would empty the garbage before she came back. And maybe that's not the communication you really needed. But for me, I like to be able to check in, or for my husband to be checking each other just the night before. I think it's not so much of a I miss you type of thing, but it's more like, okay, everything's good at home, everything's good on your way. So it's more like a safety check-in, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, I like to make sure that I check in with my husband or vice versa. I know recently he went on it wasn't a vacation, but it was a business trip. And where he was, the internet was kind of wonky. And I got totally upset. I was like, "You mean 2 days passed and he hasn't called me? What is going on?" And I knew for a fact that he told me that the where he was in the countryside, that the Wi-Fi was going to be bad. Plus, there was a storm there, so I was like, okay. So I did kind of miss them, but it wasn't like, oh, a suspicious type of why you didn't call me. But I
I got
still, that's something that I like to do, is to know that we check in and we talk about I guess that's because of that attachment. We always talk about our day or what our plans for the next day. So I kind of missed that. And so that what gave me a little bit upset. But I don't think anything is wrong with chilling. But if I'm married and living with my husband and they're on vacation, I don't see anything wrong with them checking in or vice versa. I'm not going to check in though and remind him to do certain chores because it's like, you out, let me do what I'm doing. And I don't want him calling me and say, make sure you do this and make sure you do that and be careful about that and no, I don't want to hear that either. But I think seeing him, if he's out there enjoying and taking care of business, I'm happy for him. And if I'm at a girls' trip, I definitely don't want him to be calling throughout the day. And what are you doing now? And that would not work for me. But at night, when you wind down, say, "Hey, babe, good night. Have a good night. Get some rest. See you tomorrow. Whatever. Or talk to you tomorrow." That's cool. Short and sweet. Yeah. So that's my take on it. Have a girls' trip, but I'm still talking to my man.
okay. I mean, you know what? I think it comes down to once again the relationship, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
whatever works for the relationship
yeah,
and what you are accustomed to in
yeah,
terms of your own form of communication with
yeah.
your significant other. And for me, the way I look at it is I think it's okay to have no communication for a few days. I really do. It doesn't mean
Okay.
I'm not thinking about you,
Well, I
right?
don't know that.
I mean, because if we go back before we had all this technology,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's something to be said for, you know, not having the need to communicate all the time with each other. It's
Mm.
okay that you're still thinking of each other, and that's a positive as well, without the need to convey that to the other person. I would
Mm.
I would say that if you've been in a relationship like I've been in for 40 years, that
Hmm.
I think Maggie can be reasonably certain that I am giving thought to her as she's enjoying herself on her girls' trip.
Yeah. Well, both of us are in a 40 plus years relationship, and we know each other's habits, but I don't necessarily agree with the need that it's a need. It is more of a desire to check in. And I guess again, that's because of habit and believing that you should check in as part of the relationship communication. But staying away definitely can, and no communication in some weird way, it can strengthen a communication. It can address appreciation for your partner and kind of gives a renewed energy around it. And
So I'm
then
going
it
to get
also
radical
lets,
again. What's wrong with acting like you're not even in a relationship with
no,
someone
I'm not doing that.
while
And
you're
he
away?
better not be
No,
doing that.
I'm not
No.
talking about a hall pass. That's not what I'm talking about,
What
okay?
you talk about that?
I'm not talking about a hall pass, a free pass in that way. I'm talking about just being free in your own, whatever you want to do, right?
I agree with
Far
being
as-
free, but I do not agree, Dan, with the fact that you talk about don't act like not in a relationship. That's pushing it too far. If you are in a committed relationship, you always act like you're in a relationship.
well, what
However,
I'm
you can
saying,
always
so
be
don't let me be
independent.
misunderstood. I'm not saying you're looking for another person to
I didn't
hook
say
up
that
with while
either.
you're on this time away. I'm
Yeah.
saying be free in your own self without being connected to your spouse in that time. I don't see the harm in that. That's just me.
Okay.
You may have a different take on it. And maybe it goes back to like when I first met Maggie,
Yeah.
we knew each other a month, and then I went to Africa.
Right.
Okay. So I was away from her for about 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the old snail mail. That's how
Yeah.
we communicated with each other, right?
Right.
Through,
Right.
through traditional letters.
Yeah.
And once in a blue moon, I could go find a phone and call her and
Yeah.
talk to her. Now, I think our relationship actually was strengthened through that
Mm.
because we had established a bond of trust with each other.
Okay.
And so don't hear me in the wrong way as far as like you're free to go do what you want as far as seeking out others for different
Right.
connections. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just being free that you don't have to feel obligated to connect with the other person in the relationship, your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to, if you don't feel the desire to. And I think that's okay too.
I guess so, if that's okay, if that works for you. I just do not agree upon the point that, oh, well, you don't have to think about them. And see the example that you gave, you had just met Maggie.
I did.
So um the attachment hadn't really started then. But I'm thinking that if you're in this relationship, you're married or you live with the individual for X amount of years, or X amount of time, I'm like, no, you go on vacation and you say we're not going to communicate and don't even think about it. No, I do not agree with that.
Okay, so let's go back to what you said. If I say to Maggie, and I think I may have done this, good night, my love. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Short,
Mm-hmm.
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I may have done that just to
Okay.
say good night. I don't go into any further detail or explanation of my day or what happened during the day while she's away. I I don't feel the need to.
Okay.
And I don't feel the need for her to do that with me because I think when she returns or I return, then we have an opportunity to talk about what happened.
Yeah. Okay. So I think on a whole, separate vacations can be a good thing because it definitely lends to um personal growth and self-discovery. It can strengthen communication. There's a lot more things to talk about, and being able to express what you like, what you don't like, and what you need. I think it also gives, like I said, a renewal of energy and appreciation into the relationship. It also allows you to be independent, right? And also to exercise the element of trust.
There you go.
I think
Big
that
one.
is so very important, the trust. And the thing that you may agree with, Dan, is it reduces stress and
Yeah,
conflict, right? And then it
I
also
agree.
gives you the opportunity to think about your goals and what you would like to even do with your partner on another vacation. So I think, of course, everyone's situation is different and unique in their own way, but I think having separate vacations also can go into self-care, right? It could be important for you to have that time where you're prioritizing yourself and learning to be very comfortable with yourself, making independent decisions for yourself without always saying, well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And being able to rely on yourself. I think that in itself is very, very powerful. So, those are some of the things I think about separate vacations, the benefits of it. And I don't think there's much um, disadvantages other than the fact that you may miss the person. And it's a big disadvantage if you don't learn to trust your relationship. And that's relationship even with yourself, not about your partner, not thinking your partner is going to do something, but really help expanding your own self-trust and self-worth. And like I said, making those decisions by yourself and not being codependent or dependent on the other one. I think that's a real good thing.
All right then. Well, we don't necessarily see everything in the same way, and I appreciate that we don't. And I'd love to get the input from the hard surfers on this one.
Mhm.
And it's fine if they agree with me or they agree with you or disagree with both of us. That's part of this podcast is to get other people's input. And I
Yeah,
really do want to hear from people on this topic because maybe I am such an independent person
yeah.
that I don't feel the need to have that kind of communication with my spouse of 40 years.
Hmm.
And I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that from my perspective.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear what other people have to say.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to another couple who've been together for 40 plus years, and
Okay.
that's Scott and Wendy.
Hmm.
And they take separate vacations as well.
Okay.
And they enjoy being away from each other in their own way and how they enjoy it. Scott loves to do one thing. He loves the heat, and his wife loves to do things that maybe he doesn't enjoy as much.
Okay.
And it gives them both an opportunity to, when their spouse is away while they're at home, to
Hmm.
get up when they want to get up, to cook what they want to cook, to, do all kinds
Yeah.
of things maybe that they wouldn't necessarily feel the same
Yeah.
opportunity when their spouse is right next to them.
Yes, that I must admit, Dan. When my husband is away on business, getting up or not worrying about, oh, what am I going to cook today and having to cook by a certain time. And it was a relief. Yes, I was like a little kid. Oh, I can eat what I want. Not that I don't eat what I want, but the fact is I can eat when I want and I don't have to cook. I can go buy out. I can eat leftovers. I don't have to worry about the next day. That was fun.
So are you using the word called freedom?
You did. Yeah, it does give you
You said
I wouldn't
relief.
say freedom, but a sense of independence.
It's
Yes.
okay. It's okay to feel that,
No,
isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. It is.
They're
It
not your
is
ball
cool.
and chain,
Yes,
right? And
absolutely. I
you're not
agree.
their ball and chain. And I
Well,
think that's important.
I'm gonna have my husband listen to the podcast. I'd love for you men out there to chime in and let's hear what your thoughts are. All right, folks. This episode has been brought to you by Heart Love Inc., where you get to be able to get relationship coaching, to be able to deal with challenges, particularly with um, communication, and also availability for heart conscious speaking events and workshops. So there we have it. Thank you so much. And Dan, how can we get in touch with you?
Well, it's really easy. Go to danmykins.com. Everything's linked to that. DANMYKINS.com. I just recently learned how to do it. So everything is linked to that name.
All
So you'll
right.
find everything about me, whatever you want to learn about me, if you're interested, by going to that link. And the
Definitely.
last thing I want to say on this topic, from my
Mm-hmm.
perspective, is
Mm-hmm.
communication
Mm-hmm.
can come almost, especially when you've been with someone for 40 plus years, it's not necessary to say the words out loud. That the person whom you are in a relationship with knows that you're thinking about them. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's happening whether you actually call them, text them, video chat them, whatever you do,
Mm-hmm.
to make that, from this kind of knowing that it's happening to concreteness of it, right?
Yeah.
Thanks to our technology that we have today.
Yes, 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 yes.
Maggie knows that she's always in my thoughts and that she's always a part of whatever it is that I'm experiencing. And she has that
Absolutely.
knowing that she is.
So here's a funny quote I'll leave with you today. We sleep in separate rooms. We have dinner apart. We take separate vacations. We do everything we can to keep our marriage together. Guess who that's by, Dan?
I don't know, who is it?
Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, Rodney Dangerfield. Okay.
Yeah,
Boy, he
haven't
always had
heard.
so many positive things to say about his wife.
Well, that was a joke, as you know,
I know.
Rodney. Yes. What
Oh,
was
this
he
was the
famous for?
non-comic then of Rodney Dangerfield. Okay, I understand. Got it.
All right, then. So, folks, there you have it. We're going to go ahead and do coconuts and sunlight, sunlights and coconut on the way out. Let's see you do your best jiggle wiggle,
I'm
Dan.
ready. Let's go. Get that music going. I got the shoulders working.